Alright, so now we're going to discuss printing, the process whereby we coat our woodblocks with ink and then transfer it to our prepared paper. Remember, before you begin printing, what you want to do is prepare your wet pack so that the paper that you're printing onto will be slightly moist. And that is a process that you can see in the wet pack video. What I'm doing here is I'm coating the woodblock with water. This is just plain water. And I'm just basically coating the woodblock with as much water such that it can absorb that moisture, and that moisture will not be pulled out of the glue. So I will do that, and I leave the block out for about 5 minutes before doing anything additional, and then I come back to it and after just gently wiping its surface with a towel. So the woodblock should be absorbed all of this water and shouldn't be a problem there. Now what we have is me introducing all the tools. Here we have the different brushes that we'll be doing, working with both the nori and the sumi ink. And here you'll see that I am putting the nori onto, preparing the nori to be put onto the woodblock. Nori is the paste, if you will remember. And I have basically chosen one of these brushes to be solely for the nori and the other brush solely for the sumi ink. And I put the nori onto a separate kind of container because no matter what, my nori is going to get slightly inky from just the process of printing. So we have it all separated out there. Clean my hands. Now this is the brush I'll be using for ink, and that's the brush I'll be using for the nori. I just gently tap the brush into the nori and I start spreading it over the surface of the woodblock. This is to establish what's called a carrier. It allows the transfer of the ink to the printed page to have distinct properties. Too much nori is a problem. Not enough nori is a problem. Too much and you'll get a splotching sort of pattern on the print, and not enough and the ink will be a little runny. But as you print, just experiment with different levels of nori and different level of ink. My general rule of thumb is like maybe one coating of nori for every 10 or so prints. And you really don't want to put too much. You want to just have barely enough that you can cover the entire surface of the woodblock, and not have any sort of pools or blobs of it on the surface. And I like to get this circular sort of motion because it gets it into all these different nooks and crannies that form from the carving process. And yeah, just make certain the entire surface of your woodblock, and again, this is for the printing process, we're covering the woodblock with nori paste and preparing it for the print. So now what I do is I have it covered it with nori, and now I'm covering it with ink. I'm mixing the ink and the nori together, and just finding the appropriate amount is something that you'll understand with more printing practice and experience. But you're just really, as with the nori, covering the entire surface of the woodblock and just making certain there are no pools of water or no dry spots. Just trying to make certain that the entire surface is covered and that you'll get a good clean print. And just different ways of brushing the surface will allow you to sort of spread out the ink in the most efficient and effective manner. And once it's been spread out, now all we do is just take a sheet and put it onto the woodblock. Again, if your sheets are too dry, you can always reapply water with your mizubake. These sheets are pretty wet, so I'm going to just put it on. So smooth side down. you don't want to put the rough side down. You want the smooth side to be touching the surface of the woodblock. And you can tell which is the smooth and rough side just by rubbing the paper. Now that I've sort of aligned the paper onto the woodblock, I take the bar end and just in the circular medium pressure, just rub it over the entire surface of the woodblock. And I pull out the paper, and you can just stack them one on top of the other. And, unless there is too much water or some other problem in that way, it shouldn't be an issue to stack them like that. Or you could spread them out if you have the space. Now again, just line the thing up. You'll notice I didn't reapply the nori or the ink. I'm just trying to see what it'll look like if I use the same sort of amounts minus what was picked up by the last print. And I'm getting a fairly good sort of impression here. Good transfer of ink. Doesn't look too bad, so I just put that over. And maybe I'll try it one more time and see how it comes out without reapplying ink. Again, which is the rough side, which is the smooth side? The smooth side goes down. Just try your best to get a line on there, and medium pressure. We'll see here that I've pretty much run out of ink on the woodblock, so next print I'm gonna have to reapply it. In these cases, you can push down a little bit harder, and if you do that, you'll get sort of a better transfer, but still not ideal. Too light. But maybe you want to do one or two kind of lighter prints just to experiment with the aesthetics of that. But since there isn't enough ink on the block, I'm just going to put in maybe just a little bit more. Yep. I'm just here I'm just covering the block. Just covering the block with ink, trying my hardest to sort of get every surface covered with ink while avoiding pooling or any other sort of accumulation of ink that will affect the printing process. I like the circular motion. It helps distribute the ink in a different way than just the simple forward and backward brushing. If you need, wash your hands. It's always good to have some sort of towel around. So there's a different level of moisture on this paper, and I want to basically just test it out with a drier sheet. See how that. Remember to hold your bar end with your sort of palm of your hand, the butt of your hand kind of pressing up against the bottom. Just get even, medium pressure, not too hard, but also not too light. So again, applying the appropriate pressure and you'll get the image to pop out really nicely like this. Once again, just applying ink. You don't have to apply nori every single time, but every now and again you will reapply nori when you feel it's appropriate. But more likely you'll continuously reapply ink. and just brush with the bar end. Pull it out.